Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a program exclusively designed to promote reproductive health awareness and discuss fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
She's known as the Egg Whisperer. Fertility expert Dr. Amy Abazadeh.
And you have yet another success story
Just launched by an East Bay fertility doctor.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show. I'm Dr. Amy, your host, and I'm here with Dr. Dylan Cutler. Hi, Dylan.
Hey, Amy.
And we're going to talk about healing PCOS with lifestyle changes. You guys, we just said healing PCOS. We're not talking about treating. We're talking about healing. And there's no better person to talk about this than Dylan. Dr. Dylan Cutler, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I am a PCOS Wellness Consultant, and I obtained my PhD in obstetrics and gynecology. And my main focus was how we can help manage and heal PCOS without the use of pharmaceutical drugs or dieting. So my research focuses on nutrition, lifestyle changes like meditation. I'm adding more stress management into your routine, exercise, as well as getting away from the diet culture mentality that a lot of us with PCOS have been conditioned into. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
And you didn't mention your book. You also have a pretty cool book that I actually just bought myself.
Amazing, thank you. Yes, I love to cook healthy meals. That's kind of how I started as a content creator, was, how can I make this really delicious meal that I loved before I had PCOS, and then when I was diagnosed with PCOS, I thought I couldn't eat this anymore. So I transformed my cooking. It's all dairy-free, gluten-free, vegan, as I am a vegan, and it's called Cooking with Compassion. So there's 30 recipes that I think that are easy and everyone will love.
Well, they look yummy because I obviously follow you on Instagram, and all of the things that you show me there, I'm like, ooh, I wonder how I could do it, or I wonder how I could tell my husband to do it for me. So thank you for that. So tell us, for people who don't know, what is PCOS? Like, how would you define it to someone who has no idea what it is, who is listening to us for the first time?
Mm-hmm. So it's short for polycystic ovary syndrome. And it affects around 10 to 20% of women, as well as trans men and non-binary folks. So what it is basically a reproductive, metabolic, and endocrine disorder. And it can also affect our mental health. So it really affects every system of the body. And it can show up as irregular cycles, which down the road can lead to infertility if we try to get pregnant, as well as insulin resistance, which can eventually lead to type 2 diabetes, and dyslipidemia, which can lead to heart disease. So these are really serious ailments that are linked with PCOS, and that's why I'm really passionate about treating it and managing it for the long term.
And you have your own personal story. Can you share that with us? How did your PCOS story begin?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed when I was 16, and I had no idea what PCOS was before then. And I was quite terrified. I was told I would never be able to have kids. I was told that I needed to lose weight by cutting calories, working out more. I was already an athlete. I worked out plenty. I ate fairly well. So this was quite a shock to me. But I didn't know completely how to manage PCOS. I didn't know how important stress management was, or as I mentioned, the dieting. I was eating too little and exercising too much, and that can spike cortisol. So through, it's been 14 years since then, and I've been able to manage it fairly well, and that's why I want to share my story with other people, especially the mental health aspects, because I did struggle with an eating disorder, with anxiety, depression, panic disorder, and these are all more common in people with PCOS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As far as there's so many myths out there, but let's just kind of break down why reducing fasting glucose and cortisol in women with PCOS is important. And what are some strategies that you work on with your clients to get them to reduce those things as well?
Yeah, so it's very important, as I mentioned, because of the long-term risk factors of type 2 diabetes and heart disease. So there are a lot of ways that we can manage glucose and cortisol. The four main ways that I look at are nutrition, activity, stress management, and sleep. So with nutrition, I advocate for more plants and less animal products. And as far as activity, the important thing for me is that we're moving our body. As long as it's something that you will be able to do for the long term, and it's sustainable for you, then that's going to be the best movement for you. And then stress management, meditation, and mindfulness can reduce cortisol, as well as fasting glucose. So almost all my clients have some sort of meditation routine. And then sleep. Sleep may be the most important of all of them and the least talked about, but if we're not getting our 7 to 8 hours of sleep, we have no idea how healthy we can be. We have no idea what state what state we could be living in without this restful sleep.
I find your message about healing PCOS to be so inspiring. So thank you for everything that you're doing to inspire others to heal their PCOS in the same way that you have done. And I imagine that all the work that you've done on yourself is helping your clients. And there's something that just stood out to me that I want to talk about is the concept that women with PCOS can lead fulfilling lives and achieve their wildest dreams. How do you do that? And how can you teach one of your clients to do that as well?
Yeah, so thank you for that. I do find that I can relate to my clients really well, and hopefully that they relate to me. And the reason that I have this message that we can live fulfilling lives is because many of us have been told that, for example, that we won't be able to have kids, or that we won't be able to eat like our friends eat or go to restaurants. And all these things just aren't true if we can really get to know our bodies and what is going to work for our bodies. And for me, during my PhD, I was against so many mental health conditions, including anxiety, depression, and panic, as well as trying to manage my own PCOS. And those health conditions almost prevented me from graduating and completing my degree. So I was still able to do that because I had some really strong foundations in place on how I live my life day to day, how I wake up and go to bed at night, all these routines I have that are just a part of my life now. And I was able to accomplish that goal of mine despite being up against a lot of struggle, a lot of diversity or adversity, I should say. Right. So yeah, I feel that can be a really good example for any goal that you have,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's very helpful. And just, for people who are listening to us on the podcast and can't see your beautiful skin, you have amazing skin. And you talk a lot on your Instagram about how skincare products and makeup ingredients can aggravate PCOS. Can you share a little bit about that with us and some tips that you have that you give your clients?
Definitely. Yeah, so skincare was something that I was not very aware of growing up. I was given a lot of medications for acne from dermatologists that were really harsh, and they maybe dried out my skin, but more than that, they actually are affecting our internal hormones, because what we put on our skin literally absorbs through our skin into our bloodstream, which then affects our hormonal imbalance. So during my doctorate research, I was digging into infertility research and hormone health and learned that the endocrine disruptors that are in our skincare products, as well as our hair care, our makeup, body, any personal care product, is actually likely affecting our fertility and our hormonal health. So for me, I made a choice to start switching to more natural, cleaner products. And during that journey, I also learned how unregulated the cosmetic industry is. So the terms like natural or clean are really unregulated, and anyone can slap that on a product. So it's only within the last year, really, that I've dug into the ingredients, and I want to be more I try to be more focused on the brands that I'm buying from, and if they are transparent, if they are third-party tested, if they're sustainably sourced. There's so much more that goes into skincare, and it does affect our health and the impact on the environment as well.
So what products do you use? What do you use on your face? Do you have your favorite makeup line that you can share with us? Do you have your favorite hair care products that you can share with us?
Yes, yeah. So my favorite is Beauty Counter. They are banning 1,800 chemicals, which is above what is banned in the US. I believe the US bans about 30. Canada bans 600, and then the EU is up around 1,400 banned chemicals. So 1,800 is above and beyond. So I can trust that any product I buy is going to be safe for me, and they actually work. They're effective.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So you dug deep, you shared a little bit about your own personal history with panic, especially at the time of getting your PhD. What are some ways to reduce anxiety, especially if you have PCOS? Like, give us very detailed, strategy that you would tell someone right now, like you're having an anxiety attack. What would you do?
Ooh, anxiety attack right now. Well, the first thing would be to notice what an anxiety attack is like, because my first anxiety attack, I thought I was having a heart attack. I even had pain down one arm. I had all of the symptoms of a heart attack, and I ended up going to the ER because my family also did not know what was happening. And at that point, I wasn't even told it was an anxiety attack. They didn't know what was going on, and it took 3 more ER trips to be told that it was probably anxiety. So to know the warning signs, and this includes if people in your life have anxiety, it can be helpful to learn about it with them or for them, because when we are in this anxious state, Googling what is going on is very scary. So to have, I would say, a support network that can either like Google it for you or with you, to be a little like a sounding board, because a lot of anxiety is, how do I say, it's not an overreaction, but it's looking at something through a very narrow lens. And when we look at the bigger picture, the fear, it may not be as dangerous as we think it is. So having someone that is in a different state of mind can really help. But as far as things I do, I've talked about meditation. I've talked about CBD. I love CBD for anxiety and sleep as well. And really a good nutrition and a exercise routine is also going to help. So we know exercise, one of the best forms of an antidepressant we can get. So it doesn't have to be intense. Intensive activity could make anxiety worse. So it's just about moving our body, even getting outside. Nature can decrease anxiety as well. So that's one of my best tools, is to move my body outside, and then I'm getting both the movement and the nature at the same time.
Great. Well, thank you. So I want to ask you some questions about diet, and I feel like you've talked a lot about it, but specifically some of the questions that my PCOS patients ask me are, can I eat soy? Is that bad for me? What would you say to someone who asks that question?
It's a really common myth, and you can definitely eat soy. So the myth stems from the idea that soy contains estrogens, but it does not. Soy contains phytoestrogens, and studies have shown that these phytoestrogens can actually be beneficial for PCOS symptoms. So what we need to focus on if we are consuming soy is that it's non-GMO and organic, and as minimally processed as possible. So this is going to be things like tofu, tempeh, edamame beans, as opposed to more processed sources of soy, which is, we don't want to have those anyways.
Mm-hmm. And then what about fruit? Should women with PCOS avoid fruit?
You can definitely eat fruit. Fruit is one of my favorites. That is why I named my blog Fruitful Dish to begin with, and with a PH instead of an F at the beginning. But fruit is packed with antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. So the idea that fruit has too much sugar is false because we're not thinking about the fiber that is also packaged in that fruit. So it's going to be absorbed in the body much differently than if we were to eat pure sugar.
And what is the best PCOS diet? I mean, you've mentioned a little bit about plant-based, avoiding animal-based protein as much as possible. What is your best diet recommendation for someone with PCOS?
So my best recommendation would be plant-based and whole foods. So to minimize the processed foods, the sugars, and the refined foods, and to really focus on foods that are from the ground or the tree. They're in the most natural form as we can get. And then this is going to be, this is going to increase your fruits and vegetables, your whole grains. If we have a diet that's really based around colorful fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, then this is going to benefit our hormones and our energy.
Mm-hmm. And people should get your book for the recipe ideas.
Yeah.
Because when someone tells me, ground and trees, I'm just like, I have no idea. So your book will help me too. I can't wait to get it. Okay, for it to come. So how can you thrive with PCOS? Tell me about that.
There's a lot of ways. For one, to accept that this is a lifetime condition and that it doesn't mean that you're broken or that anything's wrong with you, but it is something that is going to be there for the long term. So we need a lifestyle that is going to be comfortable in the long term. At the beginning, it might be uncomfortable to make these changes, but if we stick to them over time, it really pays off. And we'll see more energy, just more happiness and freedom, which is something, I think that's the biggest thing that I see with people with PCOS is this lack of freedom and joy because it can be so overbearing. So the first thing I would say is acceptance and to not fight it because this is not going to be a very compassionate way of treating our PCOS, which is why I've called my recipe book Cooking with Compassion, because having compassion for ourselves is very important. If we're in this fighting state, then we're going to spike our cortisol, which is going to spike our insulin, and it's not going to be helpful.
Yeah, so true. Another question, real quick. Supplements. Do you guide your clients as to what supplements that they should take? Are you a believer in supplements for PCOS?
Yeah, so supplements are very tricky. I definitely use the supplements with clients. However, it has to be very personalized. And there's definitely a trend, I think, due to social media, influencers, etc., suggesting or saying they use this supplement and that it worked for them, and then everyone else jumps on because we want the cure. We want something to buy something that we can take every day, and then our PCOS will be gone. But it doesn't work like that. So I really caution the use of throwing a ton of supplements onto PCOS or any condition really. But some can be really useful. Inositol is one that I used, I looked at in my research and can be as effective as metformin at decreasing blood sugar, glucose levels, as well as enhancing ovulation. And then there are certain nutrients that women with PCOS are often depleted in. So things like magnesium is a common one. So that can help relaxation, stress management, sleep. So there are definitely ones that can help, but I just caution that we do it in a smart way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So thank you for being on our show, Dylan. I really appreciate all the work that you do, helping people from all over the world. And where are you based?
I'm in Victoria, BC, Canada.
Wonderful. And you take care of clients from everywhere. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, that's okay. The beauty of the internet and Zoom is that no matter where in the world, I can work with you, just like we're chatting today.
Yeah. And then where can patients find you or your clients? How do they book an appointment or consult or coaching sessions with you?
Yeah, so you can find me. My website is fruitfuldish.com, fruitful is with a PH, or my Instagram, Dr.Dylan Cutler. And I am reachable through there, through my messages. I respond to all my messages. And if you want to book a consult, you can go through my website or directly through me.
Perfect. Well, before we go, my last question is, let's just say someone, she's 22 years old, just diagnosed with PCOS. What is the most important thing you would want that 22-year-old to know?
I would want them to know that they're not alone. There are thousands of people also suffering with PCOS, and that it's completely manageable, and it might actually be a blessing because now we have to look at our lifestyle. We get to work to prevent type 2 diabetes and heart disease, which a lot of the population doesn't have that opportunity to look at themselves and see that these are really common. So to try to see it as this blessing, as hard as it is going to be.
Yeah, that is hard, but I love your positive mental attitude and your strength and resilience and all the work that you do. So keep up the great work. And will you join us for a Q&A soon? One time, like a live chat here on Instagram? Or okay, awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great day. And thank you everyone for joining us. And we can't wait to have you back on another time too, Dylan. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Welcome to the Egg Whisperer Show, a program exclusively designed to promote reproductive health awareness and discuss fertility preservation options. Here is your host, the Harvard-educated fertility specialist, Dr. Amy.
She's known as the Egg Whisperer. Fertility expert Dr. Amy Abazadeh
And you have yet another success story.
just launched by an East Bay fertility doctor.